Welcome to the Pink Sphere podcast. This is your 30 Minutes of Pink, a weekly space to pause, reflect, and tune into something real. Each episode, we sit down with one of our amazing coaches to talk about the things that actually shape our lives, the ones that don't always get airtime. Today, we're talking about feminine energy. It's something that gets misunderstood, watered down, or brushed off. But it's also one of the most powerful forces we can reconnect with, especially in our relationships. Giada is here today with us to help us understand more about the feminine energy. Hi, Giada. I'm so glad you're here. How are you?
Hi Nadine, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited as well. I am all well, and I can't wait to share. I can't wait to share.
Yeah. And I want to start with a simple question. What does it actually mean to awaken your feminine energy?
Sure. So the feminine energy lives in the body, is the body, and the masculine energy is the head, is the logic. So it's about really being totally present and being
Mhm.
connected with our feelings energy. So that's very, briefly what that is about really being able to feel anything,
Mhm.
because I find that nowadays a lot of us women, due to society conditioning, due to the world that we live in, we tend to suppress that, for
Yeah.
many reasons. So, but this is pretty much what it is. It's the present energy. It's about you being able to be fully in the present and fully connected with your body.
Mhm. And what do you think? What's the biggest block women face when it comes to intimacy and connection?
Sure. So, a fundamental part of being in our feminine energy is, of course, being connected with our feelings, our emotions, and our vulnerability, and being
Mhm.
able to express that as and when. And so, in the intimacy with another person, with that connection and the intimacy, there is no deep intimacy without vulnerability. These
Yeah.
go in hand. And what I find is that, again, sometimes if we don't feel safe with that vulnerability, with those feelings, with those emotions, we won't allow ourselves to be seen and to be felt by anyone,
Yeah.
because we haven't learned that, first of all, to hold that space for us. So that is one of the biggest block. And I also would say letting go of control, which is again is a block of us being in our feminine energy. If we are so much in that control energy, which is the masculine energy, we won't be able to fully surrender, to let go of control, and to be fully present, because again our energy is going to be so much in our head rather than in the body.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I want to go deeper into that. You said masculine energy in our heads and feminine energy in our hearts.
Yes, in
Is
our
that
heart
it?
and in our,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, buddy. So could you go a little bit more in detail about that? What does that truly mean?
Sure. So, in order for us to be fully embodied with this energy, we must be able to fully trust ourselves and our intuitions, our inner compass, our body wisdom, because we always get those whispers, those, however
Hmm.
our intuitions is speaking through us. We always, receive it, but it's whether we want to listen to that and whether we want to take action based upon that. And what I find is that, again, especially with my clients that I work with,
Hmm.
a lot of women don't fully trust those intuitions, don't fully trust what their heart is guiding them to do. And majority of times, what our heart is guiding us to do is going to be uncomfortable, especially if you got so much used to living one way through your mind, through that ego, through your logic, which it wants to be in control. Okay.
Hmm.
Letting go of control is the death of our ego, of our mind, because the mind wants the familiar. Yeah, the moment you're trying to go to
Yeah.
the unfamiliar, to the unknown, the mind is going to try to pull you back. So
Hmm.
really being connected and trusting your intuition is the key for us to be truly embodied with that feminine energy, because you may know what this feminine energy is, but the embodiment is the key.
And what do you think? How can someone begin to reconnect with their sensual or intuitive side?
Sure.
How is that possible? How does it start?
So the first step is to slow down. Yeah. So slow it down with your energy again. Consciously choose to be more in the present moment. And if you find yourself that, let's say, as you go through, your day, you are already thinking ahead, you're doing something, and with your mind, you're already thinking of what you're meant to be doing next, that means you're not fully present. So consciously choose to slow down, bring the energy back into your body. Just a very simple step. It could be just taking a nice and deep breath, looking around you, looking up like a tree, whatever it is around you. You're bringing back the focus back into the present moment and being connected with your pleasure energy. So what is it that brings you more pleasure in your life? This could be an activity that helps you to express yourself. For me, it's always been dancing. Dancing is it's the easiest way to let go of control, to be so connected in the present with the body, and to have fun. But for you could be like going in, for a walk in nature, or baking, doing something with your hands. So whatever that is that brings you more of that pleasure effortlessly, you want to start connecting more with that, because the feminine is also the pleasure. She's fully connected with the body, with all the senses. So also another tip that you can start doing, being super present even when you're having food, whenever you're smelling a fragrance, a flower, whenever you're hearing a song that you love, can you actually stay present there with that song? These are, pretty much very simple steps, but again, sometimes it might take some conscious effort, especially if you got used to being so much, in your head, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you basically say mindfulness plays a big role here,
Absolutely.
right? Being in the present and enjoying the present rather than thinking about what will happen or what has happened. So being more present is the key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's okay to have a vision for our life,
Yeah.
especially if you want to attract things, if we have desires, if we have goals, there's nothing wrong to have that vision. But it's super fundamental for us to also enjoy the present, to let go of that control, to surrender, and also allow life to take us
Yeah.
where we are meant to go, be based on our desires. There's no need for us women to be so pushy and doing, and about being more. That's the feminine is the
Yeah.
beingness, and the masculine is the doingness.
Yeah, because most of the time we get caught up with what's going to happen in the future. We're thinking about our plans, our dreams, and we forget some simple things that are actually happening that are bringing us joy, right? And that's
Absolutely.
that's actually happens with our kids. You
Yes.
know, we forget about you know we forget to enjoy the moment while they are growing up, and we're waiting for the moment that they are grown up when we can have an easier life. Perhaps it's just like that.
I actually that this is something that is so true, and sometimes even myself, if I caught up as I am going, because business owner, having a son, family,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is easier to be caught up in the doing energy. But actually, the moment I find myself going into this loop, I actually consciously say, okay, let me bring my focus back into the present moment and actually enjoy my son, or enjoy what I'm
Yeah.
doing. This is so true. This is so important.
Yeah, yeah. Just like your son, just like our kids. Like, they are looking into our eyes, waiting for us to notice them when we are caught up in something.
Yeah.
Just like it's like the present, it's looking at us. It's waiting to be noticed, it's waiting to be, appreciated. But instead, we're focused on the future, what we have to do, our responsibilities, and everything. And we forget.
Yes.
It's just so easy to forget.
Absolutely.
What do you think, for example, healing past relationship wounds? How does it play a role in this process
Of
of
course.
embodiment? Yeah.
So this is super important. Number one, because if we basically enter a relationship with past wounds. And I'm talking about here like big traumas, or especially if a woman has got used to until now attracting similar patterns, similar dynamics which are unhealthy, then you want to definitely release that, because whenever we are entering a relationship based on past wounds and trauma bond, that's not really a healthy, loving, and
Yeah.
balanced relationship. We may tend to recreate again similar pattern, and again, rather than being in that in this feminine energy, which ultimately I also wanted to say that the feminine energy equal us being in our most authentic self with no mask. There is no
Yeah.
way that we can be in our feminine energy with having all this control and mask. It doesn't work like that. So it's important, because then if we have past wounds that are ruling our relationship dynamics, then number one, we won't be able to fully attract authentic relationships where we can totally be ourselves. Or sometimes what I find again with my clients, that they are in those relationship where it feels like they are walking on eggshell, like, highs and lows. So we cannot fully have a healthy relationship. So this is super important, especially if you find yourself, I'm talking to those women that might listen this podcast up, if
Yeah.
you find yourself that you keep recreating, even if consciously you don't want that, this unhealthy dynamic, then definitely look within deeper, and where is this coming from? What can I do in order for me to start to fully honor myself, honoring my values, honoring my needs, and so that I can finally attract a healthy love.
So, why do you think awakening feminine energy is important for attracting healthier relationships for ladies watching us today? Why is it so important?
Sure. um as women, our core needs when we enter a relationship is to feel cherished, to feel loved, to feel adored. For men, one of the main core needs when they enter a relationship with their woman is to feel respected. So the only way for us to really have these needs fulfilled is when we as women are in our feminine energy and the man is in his healthy masculinity, which I can give some more details around that.
Okay.
Because of course nowadays I see that this polarity, I call it the romantic polarity in a relationship, majority of times is inversed, which means that as women, if we are very much in our masculine energy, we tend to attract our opposite, a man who is more in his feminine energy, which means a man who loves to go with the flow, who doesn't want to take plans, who doesn't want to make any plans. Majority of these women actually end up being the provider as well for this man. Okay, this is what it tends to
Yeah.
happen. So no matter the chemistry, the attraction, and even the connection that sometimes you may have with this type of man, in long term, I have experienced that myself. In long term, because we have different needs, it's going to cause some friction, because no matter what, by nature, biologically, this is how women, we are wired up, because we are emotional being, and men are wired up differently. Okay, this is why as women
Yeah.
we have a womb, we can give birth, and men can't. So no matter how much the modern times we are living in, there are certain role that there are certain traits. If you want to attract a healthy dynamic, a loving relationship, and especially a devoted relationship where you feel that devotion from that man, where you can still maintain that deep chemistry, physical and emotional, then you want to attract this type of dynamic where you are as a woman in your feminine energy and the man is in his healthy masculinity.
So, I know we're talking about feminine energy here, but you said healthy masculine
Yes.
energy. What does that mean?
Sure. So the healthy masculinity is a man who is in his leadership, is in his leading energy, But there is a very fine line. It's never about domineering somebody or controlling someone. Okay, it's never about control you as a woman. Basically, the healthy masculinity wants the best for his woman and for the relationship, because the healthy masculinity is a man, first of all, who has a purpose. A man who is in purpose, first of all, with himself in his life. Majority of times, these men have a big purpose. They have, you know, their roles in their life, jobs that they have a purpose, and ultimately they want to feel like they have a purpose in a relationship with you as well as a woman. So they want to feel like they are needed in a good way. So if they don't feel there is a space for them, a masculine man wouldn't really be attracted by a woman who is very much in her masculine energy, because he wants to have that opportunity where he wants to protect you, he wants to lead you, he wants to basically make also sometimes decision for you, but again, for the best. Like I said, no, there's not about being control or domineering. It's about leading you for the best outcome, because ultimately they want the best for their woman and the relationship. So
Yes.
that's, I would
Yes.
say, is one of. And you will know, the more you are connecting with your feminine energy, with your intuitions, and you feel safe in your being, you will also know who feels safe for you. Yeah, because of course you will know, and you wouldn't, otherwise your body wouldn't allow you to totally trust and surrender someone that doesn't feel safe. Your body always know. Sometimes we stay in relationships that are not good for us, because again, we are afraid that we may not find somebody else with that connection.
Yes.
We don't want to be alone for many reasons, but your body always knows. So that's why it is essential that you connect with your body and your intuition.
You listen to
Yes.
it. In healthy relationships, how do you balance feminine embodiment with setting strong boundaries?
Yes. So when we are embodied with this feminine energy, we also learned to own our standards and to own our yes and our no, which means that we are not afraid to express our truth. This is a big, big step, like a fundamental part. The feminine isn't afraid to speak her truth and to share her feelings and her emotions. It's always about how we share that. That's why, even with my work, we learn how to use our feminine communication. Our feminine communication is about always owning our truth without blame, without criticism. Even if someone, let's say, has done something wrong to us, it has behaved in a way that is not acceptable, it doesn't matter. The way we use our feminine communication is about owning how we feel, and we share that. And we say, this isn't acceptable for me, this isn't good. And the feminine is also prepared to flow away, to walk away when something doesn't align with their values, with their needs, with how she's treated, because she learned how to honor herself fully. Is always about you bringing back the focus to yourself, because if we can't fully love and honor us, how can we expect to receive that from another? It isn't possible. You may find temporary filling in those voids, but isn't going to work in long term. So the answer is, you are sharing that from the moment that you are started dating someone. From the beginning, this is also what I teach to my clients, to always be truthful from the beginning,
Of
because
course.
you will know then who is really invested and interested in you, and who is not in alignment with, and that is okay. That is okay. So always speaking your truth, using your feminine communication without being afraid, and trusting that the right man, the man who is in alignment with you energetically, with that vision, it will give you that, because it is possible.
Yeah, yeah. You have to be authentic. You have to be honest with yourself so that you can expect that person to be honest with you as well, right?
Absolutely. And actually, let me add one more
Yeah.
thing. A man who is a decent man in his masculine energy would actually respect you and appreciate you more, because men always look for how we show up as women for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they normally look for. So if you don't again show up for yourself with respect, honoring yourself through that self-worth, through that feminine worth,
Mm-hmm.
you can't expect another to do the same for you. It's not
Absolutely,
possible.
absolutely. And do you think confidence comes from feminine energy, or does the feminine energy come from confidence? I don't know if this makes sense. You know?
Yeah. Sure. So let me explain and give you some differences here.
Yeah.
So first of all, I call it the feminine worth.
Mm-hmm.
The feminine worth, because as a woman, we are worthy already as we are, without needing to do a specific thing, without needing to show in a certain way. You are already worthy as you are. Your worthiness is your identity. Confidence is something, is a skill that can always be refined. But, of course, the more you show up unapologetically, authentically, and owning yourself, the more you're also going to increase that confidence, because you are already solidifying the relationship with yourself. And confidence is also something that we can always increase. You can increase your confidence. For instance, I'm giving you a very quick example. You can increase like a confidence by doing repeatedly a certain skill, even a new skill that you want to learn, or even like by using your feminine communication. The more you are aligning yourself to show up
Mm-hmm.
using the feminine communication, the more you're going to feel, better, confident doing
Mm-hmm.
it, more comfortable. But of course, at the beginning, if you never really allowed yourself to speak your truth, to speak using your vulnerability, again, you may find a challenge in this, because your ego, your mind will always somehow come up. Oh, if you say this, he may leave you. Or if you say that, he might think you are too much. Or if you say and here is the thing, right? We have to learn how to, especially at the beginning, whenever we want to up level ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
whenever we want to try something new, we have to be able to really work through this duality,
Mm-hmm.
listening that mind ego voice that say, okay, thank you for showing up, but I got this and I'm still going to do that. I'm still going to speak my truth and express myself, because I want to honor myself. So we do this work first of all because we want to learn how to honor ourselves, not because we want to get something from it. Okay, because that again is masculine energy. We start doing this work because we want to learn how to fully honor ourselves and our being.
Wow, that's a really nice perspective. So I have one more question for you, and that is more about the myths. What's one myth about love or attraction that you want to debunk today with us?
Yes. So, love and attraction, and I would also add connections, are
Mm-hmm.
really important, of course,
Yes.
but they are not the only keys to attract and cultivate a healthy relationship. To really attract and cultivate and sustain a healthy relationship, you need emotional safety, you need shared values, you need a shared vision, and you want to be able to grow together as individuals. Because when you are together with someone in long term, that uh, you know chemistry and that spark at the beginning, of course, is still going to be there. But when you are together in with someone in long term, it's about always cultivating that through these parts, the safety, the values, the vision, and you still want to be able to grow as an individual and want to still be able to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you only have the love, the attraction, and the connection, and you are missing some of these parts, it's going to be really, challenging to sustain and to have a healthy relationship, because it's not just about, that love also requires conscious effort to
Of course it
sustain
does.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Thank you, Giada. And well, the questions are done, but I want to ask you if you could give just one tip or summarize what we've talked today. What is a message that you want to share with the ladies out there who are just beginning to awaken their energy, or they just want to start somewhere? What is your one message you want to share?
Sure. So, first of all, I want to let you know that no matter what you have experienced until now, no matter, if you have been overly in that masculine energy or overdoing, overgiving, first of all, you can change that. Even if you have tried, it does not matter. You can start and create a new story. It does require you one step, you setting up the intention that say, this is what I want and I'm choosing for myself moving forward, and owning that with your actions, which means the one step that you can start taking from today, if you want to start connecting deeper with your feminine energy, is choosing one activity that you are going to do, if you can, on a daily basis. It could be meditation, it could be dancing, could be anything that will help you to express more yourself. And another step is listen, pay attention to your heart. You can also check on a daily basis, even by placing your hands on your heart, and check with your body, with your heart. Is there anything that you would love to share with me today? If you don't hear anything at the beginning, that's okay. The key is to continue asking and checking in with yourself, because ultimately you want to start connecting deeper with those intuitions. And based on what you're hearing and feeling,
Mhm.
take action upon that, because that's the key. If you want to start trusting more yourself and your intuitions, you got to start taking those actions based on what you're feeling and what you've been guided to, even when you may not have the certainty. This is
Yeah.
the key. You might not always have the certainty. Am I doing the right thing or not? Doesn't matter. Because even if you choose something that, let's say, is not what, the outcome is not what you have hoped for, then it means that there was something for you to learn. So it's
Mhm.
never like a failure. It's always a win-win situation.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Giada. And that's a wrap on this week's 30 Minutes of Pink. Big, big thanks to Giada. And if something you heard today hit a nerve or opened something up, go check out Giada's profile on the Pink Sphere platform. Her sessions are honest, grounding, and full of little reminders to come home to yourself. Follow the podcast, share this with someone who's been craving deeper connection, and stay with us because there's more to come. We'll see you next week, same time, same space, but with a new voice. Bye.
Bye bye.